Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to GameStar TV and our final night of Swiss bracket for the Blizzard ANZ Season 4 qualifiers. So let's just turn off the "we'll be right back" bit and get on there. So pressing buttons is a skill, they tell me, which I don't have. Now, I said just before we went to the break that we've got a big announcement to make about LAN finals. I got word today from Blizzard ANZ, and this is huge, that for the LAN finals, all 4 teams will be going to LAN. So the top 4 teams that make it through at the end of Season 4 qualifiers, you're all going to go to Sydney. You're all going to face off in LAN finals. And I do believe that the date is the 30th of September. That's what it has always been right from the start, according to the schedule. So I don't think that's going to change. The only downside is we've got LAN finals, but unfortunately it won't have an audience set up. So we won't be able to have a live audience. But hey, baby steps. We've gone from a situation where we have had only 2 teams in a LAN final through to now 4 teams in a LAN final. So that is massive, and it's going to be a great way to end off the year, the 4 seasons, I guess, of this year. So that's fantastic. Now, let's get into our next match as quickly as we can, and it is going to be NMD going up against Pocket Me Lighter. And once again, Kit Fox is going to be your play-by-play, and sitting very, very still once again for the cameras, like we're in the old times, and you know, it's one of those sepia photos with the long exposure, is GL Phoenix. Before we cut over, good evening, GL Phoenix. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks, Crisis.
Fantastic.
Really excited to be here for this last day, and yeah, we've got some really exciting news with those finals. I'm really excited about those all 4 teams going to the LAN final, but yeah, we still got to figure out which 4 teams are going to be there, so let's get back right into it.
Look at him, his mouth's not even moving. Not only is he an amazing analyst, he's a ventriloquist as well. But yes, we've got NMD versus Pocket Me Lighter going head-to-head on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Interesting to note that old mate Zeplion is actually not playing for Pocket Me Lighter at the moment. MKL filling in for his shoes, or actually I believe it might be Malo filling in. So we're not going to see any of those disgusting double dunk chromies come out, but who knows? It might not be from Zeplion, but it might be from somebody else. Zul being taken off the board for NMD, which are on your blue side of the screen. Pocket Me Lighter are on red. They want to remove Garrosh. Garrosh was only available recently, and already teams do not want to play against him.
Absolutely, we've seen it even on the Tuesday night games. The Garrosh is getting so much value, and he's really catching a lot of teams off guard. Even HGC level teams have been picking up the Garrosh and getting a lot of work done. Has a lot of power early on in the game, and we're starting to see teams just really, like, sure, you can have all the tools you want to try and deal with them, but that early game can be really rough to deal with if you're just not really prepared for it.
Zul is one who doesn't really find a lot of flavor for most teams, but on this map, Tomb of the Spider Queen, it's something about this map where your not so meta picks can find a bit of game time. And people like Zul, people like Gul'dan, which we actually saw on Sky Temple, surprising everybody, they often get taken off the board. Now, Tassadar being locked in for NMD. Now, the double pick goes over to Pocket Me Lighter. They're going to opt for Valor and Uther. So, a pretty solid meta pick there for the PML lads. Now, Tassadar on NMD, that opens it up for a double support composition. Pairing that with the Oriel or even a Rhaegar, it's nasty to go up against.
Yeah, well, you'd expect them to be going towards a double support, as the Tassadar doesn't necessarily work at all when it comes to just single healer setups. But with that Valor taken away from the side of NMD, they won't have that combination of the Tassadar and the Valor, but there are still other options that they can go with, like the Malthael that they've picked up, can do quite well with those additional shields and also the healing that will come out from those.
Malthael extremely strong, fantastic team fighter, especially when he goes for the Torrent of Souls. I mean, he's very, very strong. He's very, very strong. We saw him banned quite a lot in the previous weeks, especially in the playoff rounds, as well as the Wednesday night qualifiers. I'm looking for the word there. Now, ETC being locked in now as the solid front liner for NMD. Probably going to go Mosh Pit, because I don't really know what else they're going to pick with here for the NMD lads.
Yeah, I really don't think Stage Dive gets all that much value on Timber Spider Queen. It's one of those small maps you're not necessarily struggling when it comes to needing global pressure, and that mosh pit can set up such incredible plays. And sure, we've actually been seeing ETC pick up in priority just a little bit over the past couple of weeks. And it has been really catching teams off guard. I mean, I was talking about how Garrosh, sure, he's new to the game, and teams have been getting quite up by that early, but ETC still does that very well.
Chromie now being banned from NMD, they realized that exactly what we were talking about. Chromie on this map, because it's very narrow, there's a lot of not a lot of choke points, but it's very easy to aim your skills as Chromie on this map. So they don't want to deal with that, especially against Pocket Me Lighter. Now, Stukov is an interesting ban for the red team. I don't know what I don't know what their ideas are behind that. Obviously, they've got a game plan, and Stukov is definitely not a part of it. They now have double pick. They still need a solid frontliner. They could do with another damage dealer as well. Who do you think they're going to go for, GLP?
Well, there's still quite a lot on the board when it comes to frontliners. There's the Arthas, there's Anubarak, there's even something like a Johanna, which can get a lot of value on this map due to her rather significant wave clear. So there's still quite a lot on the board for Pocket Me Lighter to go for the front line. But I think what we're starting to really need to see out of Pocket Me Lighter is some kind of solo laner to try and, I believe, contest the Malthael, who will be on that side lane. And it looks like it's going to be the Zagara.
Wow, 2 for 2 on the Zagara picks tonight. We saw it on Sky Temple. Didn't really work off from the Midnights, but that's not because they played badly. It's because Home Wreckers, their Falstad, Touch Me, I believe it was, played a fantastic game. Didn't even need to join the team fights. Said, hey, I've got a job to do. I'm going to deal with this Zagara, and pretty much take her out of the game. Didn't allow Zagara to get any of those Nidus worms down. Didn't give her any breathing room. Let's see if Pocket Me Lighter are able to pull off what the Midnights could not do, and that is a successful Zagara gameplay. Now it's over to the NMD lads. They've still got options on the board as well. They need a ranged assassin. They could opt for a mage. Gul'dan, always a potential option. I mean, Greymane as well finds a lot of value on this map, on any map, really. I mean, he's Greymane.
Yeah, he's good in pretty much any draft, to be honest. But yeah, the Gul'dan is an option, but with that Tassa, you're kind of wanting something that gets more value out of auto-attacking. So the Greymane, or even something like the Cassia, which we haven't seen up. And the Cassia also works double duties in this regard, where she does deal quite well with the Valor. And also there's Zagara, who do put in a fair amount of auto attacks. Having those blinds will really help out the team fights in that regard. Ooh.
Double support for Pocket Me Lighter. What do you make of this, GLP?
Okay, so double support, it's no secret that it's very strong and has been for quite some time. But this setup is quite a unique one. It looks like they're just going to go for a very strong 4-stack with the Uther, the double support plus Anubarak Valor. Potentially go with that, and then have the Zagara try and just apply a lot of pressure map wide. Do something similar to what a Zul does in just playing the wave clear game and just forcing your opponents to react to waves, and try and have this massive, almost unkillable 4-stack coming out of Pocket Me Lighter to just barrel down lanes.
I am worried a little bit about their damage, though. So like you mentioned, they're obviously going to go for the wave clear build. They want to micro NMD into submission. They do not want a team fight, because as soon as you take out Nikki Webster on the Valor, their damage suffers dramatically.
Oh, yeah. It's very all in on that Valor damage, and we've seen compositions do that for quite some time when it comes to double support. It's essentially the bread and butter of double support. You get Tassa, Oriole, and then a Valor, and she will just hyperscale out of the wazoo and just do so much damage, and you can safely rely on the amount of damage that a Valor does. Sure, you've got double healer, essentially, just like all in on healing. Trying to keep that Valor going and trying to give her a bit more room to play aggressively, because when you're playing Valor and you're on the back foot, you're not really having a good time.
Sustain game is strong for the Pocket Me Lighter lads, no doubt about that. But we're going to get into Tomb of the Spider Queen, ladies and gentlemen. NMD versus Pocket Me Lighter. NMD on blue, Lahal on Rhaegar, Hiccup on Tassadar, Icebolt on ETC, Vicarak is Malthael, and Physics is Cassia.
And on the red side, we have Pocket Me Lighter. We have Flays on Anubarak, Malo on Lieutenant Morales, MKL on Uther, Shannon on Zagara, Nikki Webster on Valor. At level 1, we're just getting the standard, run it down and hope something happens.
Run it down, hope something happens. Good old-fashioned fisticuffs in the mid lane. The punch on, we like to call it here in ANZ. You can already see Fen coming out there from physics. Nikki Webb's taking a lot of damage, and they're already trying to take down that Valor. They know that once she's out of the fight, Pocket and Lighter are going to struggle, and now you can see physics getting to work on her. They've got the blind, they've got the tools to deal with her. I really like NMD's position currently. I know we're only at level 1 GLP. Lahal taking a lot of damage in the backline. In goes Figurack on the Malfield, almost extremely deep. Luckily, he was able to blink away, so those Reaper's marks, luckily they found their targets and gave him a viable escape option.
Yeah, and in the end, it's just going to be no one falling throughout all that. There were a lot of low health bars on both sides, but double support on both sides. That's essentially what you end up seeing, is very drawn out fights where you can go very low, but then just keep on sticking around in these fights just over and over again and just get dragged out for so long. And I think the double healer coming out from Pokemon really just... sure, the Valor got caught out, but that double healer really came in clutch there.
Yeah, exactly. Lucky it came in clutch there. But Cassius got work through. Physics is going to be nutting it out on that Valor, opting for the charge strikes build, so going for the auto attack as opposed to, say, potentially the Q build. Now you can see in the mid lane, there's a little bit of a tit for tat going on. Flace gets a nice impale off. There's quick rotation on this map for it being so small. Lahal now jumps in. Cassia throwing out those charge strikes like she's supposed to do, targeting the Valor. Nikki Webster's going to have a hard time dealing with this. In goes the power slide from Icebolt, gets pushed away, and that was good sustain. You got both the supports there, keeping Nikki Webster alive. The blind goes on, but Melo and MKL are there, and they are not going to let Nikki Webster die without first pumping her full of roids.
Absolutely, and she can essentially be the frontliner. She's standing as a Valor up against essentially 4 members of the other team because she knows she has so much healing at her back, and she's not too worried about getting taken out, despite the amount of probably going on the hill, which is what they need to be doing.
Melo in trouble, but the heals come out. Was Sven going to pick up the kill? No! Oh, fantastic burrow charge coming in there from Plays, just making sure that they were able to keep the backline alive. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Shannon Knoll is extremely deep on the Zagara. Now the rotations again coming down so fast on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Those creep clusters littering that bottom of the map. It's almost completely purple. Iceball goes in with the power slide, pushes back away, but Shannon Knoll with no mana is going to be able to get away because nobody's able to capitalize. Meanwhile, we're back in the mid lane. Anubarak burrows in, just misses the burrow charge. Locust comes out, says, "G'day, mate. I'm a bug." Squish.
Yeah, we saw what NMD need to be doing in that previous fight. They attack the healers. If they're not really going to get a hell of a lot done when they just bang away at that Valor, unless they get like incredible, like catching completely off guard. But if you attack the healers, force them to try and play reactively in that way, because we can see right now, sure, they're going in on this front line, but with the amount of healing coming out of a Lieutenant Morales and an Uther, as well with that armor, with the devotion passive, they're just unable to just burst through all of that.
Icebolt is getting off some pretty good power slide face melt combos, but the supports, they're just so nasty to deal with, and NMD are really going to struggle unless they chop at least one of those. Burrow charge going in, actually catches out physics into the impale. Nikki Webster there, but so is Cassadar. Charge strikes now coming out. That's what we were talking about, the power slide. So much heals again from Pocket Me Lighter. This sustain is absolutely ridiculous here at the moment, GLP. Forced it back now. Flaze has, little HP, no mana. Melo has no mana. Now they get themselves a little bit of breathing room to NMD. They're going to try and go for the turn. Both of these teams still don't have enough gems to bring down the web. Well, as I say that, sorry, blue team has enough gems to bring down the web weavers. A little bit of miscalculation there on my part, but they're going to get the push going, and NMD comfortable with this so far.
Yeah, and this is essentially what NMD need to do. They need to play the map game because we're seeing so far they're just not really able to get those kills. So they're going to have to try and at least force back their opponents so that they can control the map, control these turn-in areas, and then use those web weavers to just push in structures and get advantages out of that. Now it was... They've got the right idea as... Oh, a nice engage, though.
Oh, she's separated now. Oh, luckily was able to vault away and get around that wall. Nikki Webster didn't have the much-loved healing support coming in from either MKL or Melo there. That's what we were talking about. Icebolt on that ETC. Face melt combo is just so good. But the damage just isn't there at the moment for NMD. Maybe once we get a little later into this game, the talents will start to come into effect. There's another face melt combo. Power slide face melt combo. Valor throws out The hungering arrow doesn't actually hit anyone, so unfortunate there. Hot Pursuit well into effect. You can see how fast Nicky Webster is pumping out these auto attacks. You gotta love Max Hatred on the Valor. Now Iceball taking it as well, and he's going extremely ham here. I love the coverage of Nicky Webster here at the moment. Psionic Storm comes down, pick up. Cassia throws down the blind. Doesn't really catch anybody of value there. Meanwhile, Web Weavers have fallen, and the Gems now in favor of Pocket Me Lighter. They're one turn behind, but they do have enough should they not lose any of their players to get the Web Weavers of their own. Meanwhile, bot lane, Shadow Noah's going to go down to ETC. Icebold! Well done. That's what we were talking about. The face melt combo goes in, and with no healers to sustain you, you're going to have a bad time. It's Sagara's game plan to go deep. Now they're going to juke it out in the bot lane Maltfield, getting value out of the Soul Rip, keeping himself alive. That's Vikarak. But yes, the NMD lads getting themselves the first blood. It took a long time. It took 6 minutes, which is oddly long for an ANZ game. Nonetheless, they've got the advantage slightly in their favor.
Yeah, and you were saying it's a very long time for that first blood, and essentially, if you don't have those healers around you, that's what's going to happen, and that's exactly what Iceball did. Went after the target where there wasn't the double support there that they just couldn't deal with, and finally able to get that kill, open up the map a little bit, but you're talking about the amount of damage coming out of this NMD lineup. It may seem like it's not nearly enough, but they are putting out a considerable amount of damage. The amount of healing is just too much to deal with right now. Maybe once we get later and later into this game, as Physics did pick up that Zagara yet again in the 1v1, so this is an option that NMD can look towards. They can look towards just ignoring that 4-stack, because they're not really getting anything done from that. Go towards those side lanes.
Well, they learned their lesson very quickly, did the NMD lads. Now, Flags, with no support coming in there, is going to go down, gets stoned out by 4 members of NMD. See you later. Back on the bench. Bottom lane now, Malo and Nicky Webster going to work in that bottom lane. They get themselves a tower, but Vikarak on the Maltfield keeps himself alive, but Soul Rip does absolutely nothing for buildings. Tassadar at the top, that's Hiccup. He still does have Dimensional Shift away. Should he get himself into a little bit of a pickle? But you can see how well Physics is playing here on the Cassia. Look at the numbers this man's pumping out. 36k Siege, 34k Hero. It's his game at the moment. Malo now well out of position. The face melt combo comes out from ETC. The Ghost Wolf from Rhaegar securing the kill. Level 10 advantage. The Orb, the Lightning Orb comes out, bouncing around. Pocket Lighter in trouble. NMD with something to prove here after being knocked out of the playoff rounds by Milkshake. They are taking it to Pocket Lighter. Shadow Noah's being put out again. Force Wall. And he's on the bench as well. Poor Pocket Me Lighter. They're missing Zeppline at the moment, but NMD are playing so well. They mop up the map, turning it blue, and they've almost got a whole talent tier advantage over Pocket Me Lighter at this point.
Oh, they're going
Mosh.
to get to the wall.
Good mosh into the wall, and the damage was there as well. Malo and MKL were there, but this is what we're talking about. Once the talents and the level advantage start coming into play, Pocket Me Lighter, this double support meta, they can only, it's burst heals at best from Uther and Morales at the moment. NMD just flexing their muscles.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do when you're pretty much all in on this Valley. Yeah, it was working out quite well for them early on in the game, but as we were seeing time and time again, NMD were picking off that Zagara, going towards the side lanes and just getting advantages elsewhere. And also, that first Web Weaver turn-in gave him that little bit of extra room to get to that level 10 first, and then just keep on piling on the pressure onto Pocket Lighter. And now we're at the point where they have a reasonably considerable lead. They're able to get a second Web Weaver phase, and they should be able to just expand that lead even more.
So the blue Web Weavers now coming out to play. Malfi on the bot lane. Vikarak doesn't need to be there because the Web Weavers are going to do his dirty work. He realizes that gets the rotation onto this very small map. It's not going to take him long to go 3 lanes across and join his team. But Flaze is there on the Anubarak, actually spots him there. Manages to get the Reaper's mark on, and now a couple Soul Rips for good measure. Good Death Shroud. Flaze is in trouble here. Ghost Wolf coming in from Rhaegar. Force Wall way out of position, and he goes down. Well done, NMD now. Pocket Me Lighter looks rattled here, GL Phoenix, as they continue to push it on the top line. PML need to run back. Iceball doesn't have the mosh pit.
The wall!
30 seconds away. The Force Balls from Tassadar are fantastic. Strafe is the option of ultimate as opposed to the Rain of Vengeance for Nicky Webster. I don't know about that considering you've got a Iceball leaping around on that ETC who's just able to power slide his way in, face melt away, get those mini stuns and just nullify anything you can throw at him. But this is NMD's game to lose at the moment. Now a whole talent tier advantage and 3 levels over Pocket Me Lighter. PML are struggling.
Yeah, we're starting to see them just crack a little bit under the pressure with we're actually starting to see NMD's experience in these much more competitive games. It's FaZe is caught out by the Force again, and we're seeing this time and time again. The pickup on this Tastar is making so much, just controlling the space around these fights so well, and Pokemon Live just getting caught out time and time again by these Force Walls.
Face melt not required for ETC. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let the bodies hit the floor. Pocket Me Lighter are in so much trouble here. They're about to get level 15 as well. They're thinking about the boss at NMD, but they turn around and backhand. There goes the orb, but doesn't actually have anybody to bounce to and get melted. Valor. Oh my goodness. Pocket Me Lighter struggling. NMD turn their attention to the boss. Physics says, hang on, I still want more kills. I am hungry. I am sitting at 53,000 hero damage, dominating the statistics at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty much just been a game of which carry can carry harder. We have Cassia and the Valor. You know, they kind of, when they clash heads, the Cassia can kind of come out ahead just due to her avoidance passive and also the fact that she can blind. But you can see what both teams are wanting to do. It's the Valor and the Cassia essentially frontlining and just utilizing the most from their double support setup and blasting each other. But we do get a nice red web over phase to try and at least mitigate some of the pressure that's going to be coming in.
So hopefully that buys Pocket Me Lighter a little bit of breathing space, because they have to turn their attention to the top lane. Not only do they have a boss knocking at their door, they've got a full NMD team there as well. Physics throws out the ball lightning into the blinding light. Hasn't thrown out Fend as yet. FaZe completely whiffs the burrow charge into the Impale. Gets a cocoon off though. Now Vicarak is in trouble. The cocoon's going to get melted because Hiccup on the Tassadar is just so good. There is the Mosh Pit. It collects two. Unstoppable. Oh, good knockback coming out there. But FaZe in trouble. Ancestral hitting onto Ice Ball for good measure. Lahal jumps on the top. And 3 heroes within the space of 2 seconds have hit the floor for Pocket Me Lighter. This could be GG's right here. Morales bites the dust as well. And it's all up to Nikki Webster, who says, I am not going in there, boys. NMD are going to walk away with the win here on Tomb of the Spider Queen at a sub 13-minute match. Fantastically played.
Yeah, and essentially a lot of what these fights came down to was the fact that the Valor really couldn't do damage when she blinded so consistently. Yeah, she can do a lot, especially when she can play so aggressively with that double support setup. But because she was blinded for a lot of these fights, she was unable to get a lot of that damage out, and that Cassia was just tearing through the rest of the team line.
Running it down the lanes was Physics and the rest of NMD. Fantastic play. Let's have a look at the damage. 69k siege damage, 68k hero damage. That is a well-balanced game if ever I saw one. Fantastic stuff. 17 kills to 1 there. Poor old Rhaegar. Lahal was the only person to die. Sacked. Get rid of it. Nah, I'm joking. We love you, Lahal. Well done to the NMD lads. They pick up the victory, a convincing victory. They are coming back with something to prove after being knocked down by Milkshake last night in the playoff rounds. They want to get back there. Unfortunately, while they do still have the opportunity, it's week 4. And the points will tell the story at the end of this GL Phoenix.
Absolutely. They want every win tonight just to boost their chances as much as possible to making it to that Final 4. We were talking about the finals before this match got underway, and it's the business end of this season, and you want to be in that top 4. You want to be going to those finals, and with it being those land finals, all the more reason to fight for it.
Once again, congratulations to NMD. They outdrafted and outplayed Pocket Me Lighter there, who threw all their eggs into the Valor basket, but as soon as Cassia was locked in, NMD, showing their skill, were able to counter with the Cassia, and it was just too good. And GG's pretty much from there. So for the second time tonight, we're halfway through. We've still got more games coming your way. We're going to pass you back over to your host, Crisis, to take us to the break.
Hey, thank you very much, Kit Fox and GL Phoenix, for that match, and congratulations to NMD. They are out to maximize their points tonight. They want to get 4 points and the bonus point for getting back into the playoffs, get themselves into the 20s, and then start winning some matches in next week's playoffs, which of course are the final week's playoffs, and then it's on to the finals. And if you've just joined us, we made an announcement before this game. All 4 teams that qualify at the end of the Season 4 qualifiers will be going to LAN. That's just been announced today. Well, we're going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen, and be right back after this with round number 3 of the Blizzard ANZ Season 4 qualifiers, Week 4 Swiss.